Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is Tears for Fears' 1989 album, Seeds of Love. This is the band's third album. Came quite a few years after, 4 years to be exact, after their huge kind of breakout success of Songs from the Big Chair from 1985, which, man, must have had like three top 20 songs. Shout was number one. I think Head Over Heels was a top 10 song, and Everybody Wants to Take Over the World was probably a top five song as well. Tears for Fears were huge in 1985. The bad thing was that the signs were showing that they were going away from electronic music as this album really came out. I really enjoyed The Hurting, their debut album from 1983, Pale Shelter, Start of a Breakdown. Those are two of my favorite Tears for Fears songs. Also, Mad World and Changes were really, really strong songs as well. Really good debut album. Next album, you really couldn't fault the songs, even though they were probably played a little bit too much, but couldn't deny the power of Shout. Amazing song, but I really like some of the B sides or some of the more hidden songs like Working Hour and The Working Hour and Mother's Talk. I really enjoyed those two tracks, but also again Head Over Heels, and so much good musicmanship, and the songs were really well. It was kind of a good balance of where they were going and sort of their old, and then so it was kind of a mix of their new and almost a mix of this and a mix of their first album in some ways. But when this came out in 1989, it just went full board, and they kind of got away. There's still some electronic sounds in here for sure, but it kind of lost the aggressiveness of like Shout, and it became more musical and almost more adult contemporary, maybe maybe not as hip or as danceable, or but it's a very well produced album. Dave Bascom production mixing, is really strong. He did music for Masses with Depeche Mode and worked with Eurasia, and he's had a really ABC. He did one of my favorite ABC albums, and Abracadabra. So just an amazing producer, amazing remixer as well. Um, Roland has such a unique voice. It's a really cool voice too as well. They're obviously very strong musicians, and one thing you can get with Tears for Fears is a lot of unique instruments. They're not everything from a mandolin to a beat machine to some interesting percussion or interesting effects. They're definitely good songwriters. They're good singers. Um, but unfortunately, I feel like the edge is lost on this album. They're just kind of going away from more of the electronic sound than they used on their first two albums. Um, so some of the songs on this album were kind of overblown, too long. They go off on a tangent and sort of go to another level for the good and the bad. Some people might like it. I don't know that I like it on all the songs. Some of the songs are like Bad Man's song is like 8 minutes long, and it's the second song on the album. So it's just there's 8 songs on here. Some of them are kind of long, and Batman just goes on forever. And it's not that great of a track. Um, there's part of me that just doesn't relate to the music anymore on this album. It's kind of adult contemporary. It's kind of like listening to like the worst of Phil Collins. There's no edge on this album before. I even like some of the songs on Elementary. Is it Elemental? Yeah, Elemental. The album after this, and another long 3 or 4 years till that album came out. Which is fine. You know what I mean? It's just, they kind of have a long time in between albums, but 4 albums in a decade. You know. Um, but I like some songs on Elemental more than this song, more than this album. You know, it's close. It's very, there's some good songs on this album, no doubt. Um, but you know, I just it's not really hip. It's kind of, I hate to say it, but it sounds like kind of old people music. I hate to say that because I'm getting old, and I do kind of like old people music, and I like carefree music, but it's just I still want it to be kind of hip and like cool and different and unique, and it just kind of sounds like it's worse than I like Simply Red. There's some songs I really like from Simply Red, and I think Mick Hucknall is an amazing singer. But I get it that their sound is kind of like an adult sound, like adult contemporary. Like I like Simply Red probably better than some of those Simply Red albums better than this album. It's just yeah. So I'll go song by song and review it. But it's a mixed bag, and there was part of me that was like maybe I just won't review this album, or maybe I will review it and just not give it a score because I know I'm sure I'll get some Tears for Fears fans saying, "Oh, this album's great," and you don't know what you're talking about and stuff like that. And I'm okay with that. It's I've already got that with some of the reviews I've done. I don't mind that. It's not a big deal. I feel strongly about my opinion, but it's just you compare this to The Hurting, Pale Shelter, or Shout, or Start of a Breakdown. It's just that there's a simplicity back in the day, kind of I wouldn't say a virgin sound, but just they're younger. They're there's a quality to the electronic music because again I like electronic music. This is coming from an electronic music fan's perspective, not somebody who likes whatever style you think this is: soft rock, alternative music, adult contemporary, pop rock, I don't, whatever you call it. Um, it doesn't have any edge. There's remember listening to Mother's Talk when it came out and being like, wow, this is different. This is cool. There's none of that on this album. None of that. So let's go track by track. Woman in Chains, probably the highlight of the album for me. The first few minutes are awesome. Alita Adams' voice, amazing. The last minute and 45 seconds, it kind of drags on a little bit too long. Um, a little bit, it almost sounds like two songs. But the first like 4 minutes of the 5.5 minutes, whatever, 6 minutes, amazing. Um, 3 and 3/4 stars. I think it's almost an excellent song. I think it's if it ended a little bit better and didn't drag on a little bit, I'd say it's easy 4 stars. But uh, I think I deducted it a quarter star just for it kind of not ending the way I would want it to if it was my song. I feel it, and it may be something to do with the 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 lyrics that I don't that I don't fully get into. Obviously, Woman in Change it in chains. It sort of is how it is during the verses and the chorus and the bridge. And then the song sort of becomes triumphant, right? Maybe she broke the chains. I didn't look into the lyrics, so maybe that makes sense on why the song is um, more happy at the end. But I really like the moodiness in the front, in the middle, and the way the song builds up. I think that's all awesome. But I just feel like the last minute and a half just kind of I don't know. It's kind of like watching a movie and being really enthusiastic about listening to the dialogue and learning the story and learning the characters, and then the last 20 minutes is just like a action fight where you're just like, oh yeah, I know the good guy's gonna win. Can't wait for this movie to end. That's kind of how I felt with the end of the song. It just kind of drags on, and again, there's quite a few songs that just kind of drag on and they become happy and they become not even some of them have like a good breakdown and then become musical and bridge up. It just kind of builds up and sort of ends. Bad Man's song is my least favorite. It's tied for my least favorite actually. I just put it's not for me. I don't think it works. It's like gospel. It's part jazz. It's rock. And I think that's the other thing. Like, you're going from an electronic band they started with, and now they're sort of doing like a gospel jazz rock song. I just don't think it works. And it's like 8 minutes long. I gave it 1 star. It's not bad. I mean, it's okay, but I'll probably be nice on it because I probably gave it one because the production of this album is good. I mean, they're using great instruments, got a strong producer, they're talented musicians. Like, sound wise, the album it sounds great. It's probably why I gave it 1 star is because it sounds great, but I don't think the song is very good. Sowing the Seeds of Love. This is kind of a synopsis of my opinion of the band, opinion of this album. I never liked the song. It's catchy, it's well done, it's a very good song. I can't really knock it. I gave it 3 stars because it's a good song, but I never really liked it. You know, and it's maybe sound funny to give something a very good rating when I don't. It's not like I don't hate it. Let's put it away. I think it's a little corny. It kind of kind of reminds me of like Traveling Wilburys or some kind of like older band or something like that. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't sound like Tears for Fears to me. Um, I think it could sound like the Beatles. I get it. It's a clever song. I get it. It's a well written song, but I just don't find it very youthful. I think it sounds kind of tired and old, and it's not like that. It's not because it's 35 years later either. It's like I've never really liked that song. Track number 4, Advice for the Young at Heart. My second favorite song on the album, for sure. Melody, strings, piano, beautifully sung. This is kind of the first sign I feel like this is kind of sounds like their original sound, just a little bit more updated, and still, again, a little bit more adult sounding. It does kind of run out of gas though in the second half of the album, but it's a beautiful song. It's awesome song, no doubt. I got 3 3/4 stars. It's tied with "Woman in Chains" for my favorite song on the album. Standing on the Corner of the Third World. Nice sound overall, good atmosphere. The last minute or so is kind of. I gave it 2 1/4 stars. Still a good song. Track number 6, Swords and Knives. Right here is kind of where I'm starting to lose attention. I'm kind of like, when's this album gonna be done? It's a well done song, but I just don't relate to it. It just doesn't grab me in any way. I respect the production of it, and there's some catchiness in there. It just doesn't really do too much for me. I gave it 1.5 stars. Year of the Knife. I didn't write anything. I just put 1 star. It's okay. Famous Last Words. There's some good parts on the song, for sure. Give it 2 stars. It's a good song. Um, I just couldn't wait for this album to end, and you could tell from my last three what I wrote on that description wise. My opinions of the song, it just kind of got tiresome. Just long songs, long adult, good, boring songs. Just gone is the days of Changes and Mad World and edgy kind of well done electronic sounds that were dancey but still there was good songs like um, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, even though that was super poppy. That was nights and day better than Sowing Seeds of Love. Um, yeah, just a disappointing album. I just again, there's part of me that felt like I shouldn't review the album. You know, I respect their talent. The songs just don't relate to me musically. I almost put like an NR for like not rated, but I do like their first 2 albums a lot, so I do feel like I have an opinion on the third album, and so reluctantly, I gave it a 50. Well, I gave it a 55 out of 100. It averages out to a 2.28 stars per song on my song average, which is right around where I put the album, which is 55. So it's an okay album. I got at the top of okay. It's well produced, creative, in their own way. Some nice sounds going on, unique sounds, good songwriters, no doubt. Couple good songs, Woman in Chains, Advice for the Young at Heart. But I even gave Sowing Seeds of Love 3 stars. But the other songs, just not up to par. No dance music anymore. Just the adult version of Tears for Fears just kind of lost me. So unfortunately, 55 out of 100 for Seeds of Love. Yeah, disappointing album. What can you say?